Last time we left out on a challenge on building a new application. So let's start by answering number one. So let's open Visual Studio. Let's open it. If you haven't done so, on the taskbar, so let's right click and pin the icon since you will be using a lot of Visual Studio. Now let's create a new project since we are building a new application, and since we're gonna be using console application, so let's choose that and click next, and let's name the project as animal application. And let us reflect the solution name also as the project name. So since it is going to be a console application, so let's type console. So what do I mean by that? Since we are in the foundation of C#, we are using console application. But after your skill grow, after your C# foundation, that is when we're gonna create a web application or a mobile application or a game application, to name a few. So we're for the naming convention and for organizational purposes, we're typing it as .console. So let's press next, and we're going to be using the .NET Core 3.1 framework, and let's click create. Okay, so we have achieved number one of the challenge, and we also achieved number two, which is the animal application. We are encountering a red squiggly line at the moment. Let's try to clean and rebuild the solution. So what we're trying to do is we are cleaning the folders, taking out the dependencies, and let's actually right click and rebuild the solution. So it is complaining with the right line not existing. So let's have a look. So it's complaining. So let's try to delete the .console. So as you can see, once we deleted the .console, it was having a conflict on the folder structure. So this things, it comes with experience to be able to troubleshoot. So problem solving skills, this is something you will learn as you grow your skill set. So instead of naming it as animal.console, so let's say name it as animal.app. Okay, so let's right click, do a rename, so for consistency purposes, so let's say animal.app. Okay, I think now we're good. So let's save it. Let's go back to the main program.cs, and let's type console.readline. So what we're trying to do is we're just going to make sure that our project is working successfully. So we get to test it early, and we get to fix it once it fails. So let's try that, the application. So let's move the cursor up and run it. Let's see if it's, there you go. So it's now behaving properly. So let's exit, stop again, and let's move on to the next challenge. So let's say, so create a type dog and cat. So now let's create that model. So remember, we spoke about the base classes and we were talking about the structure of the application. So now we're gonna add a new project. Okay, as you can see, this is something new to you. So we have one solution and we have one project which actually runs the application, which is console. And now we're gonna create a model project, and it will be of type class library. Okay, So what does that mean? So let's create this first. Okay, so let's say the name will be animal.model. Click next. And again, we're gonna be using the same framework. Okay, since this is going to be only a library, we don't need to use a .NET Core 3.1, since the .library's features and capabilities is not meant for a model type feature or object or project. Okay, so we're gonna be using .NET Standard 2.1 because the purpose of this project or this library is to act as a reusable model or library to be used out in the entire solution. Okay, so we only use something which signifies its purpose. Okay, so you have to remember that. Right, so since we are only using model as a reference, then we're gonna be using .NET Standard. Okay, so let's do that and create. Okay, now so it defaulted and creating a class. All right, so which we don't need, so let's delete this one. Add a new class, right click and add a new class. Right, so since we're gonna be creating type dog, so let's use type dog there. Okay, so now we have successfully created type dog, and let's have a new class. So let's have type cat. Okay, let's add it. Okay, now so as you can see that on your previous lessons, so we have two types of animals. So we have type cat and type dog. So they have a common denominator. So we're gonna create a base class where they're gonna inherit from. So let's add new class type animal. Okay, so depending on the application that you are building, you have to understand the picture or the business process. Okay, right, so once you ask these questions to the client who would like you to automate their application, you have to listen really carefully. Okay, and I'll give you examples on that one, real life examples as we go along. But at this instance, what we're trying to say is we're building a common denominator on an animal application which has type dog and type cat. So of course they will have a property, right, of animal ID. Okay, so they'll have an animal ID, then they'll also have a animal name. Let's do that properly. Okay, so let's have two for now. Then let's move on to cat. So let's make it simple for now. So let's have a cat ID. Right, so let's say there will be a cat breed. So you can put any features that you want here, which will signify about the cat. So remember that we spoke about the classes is the form or the blueprint of a particular instance, right? So since our initial example was a person, right? So now we're into animals. It could be anything. It can be a car, depending on what application you're automating. Then it will have the features of that particular business. Okay, so So now let's go to dog. So let's make sure it's public and it is available, going to be available. So let's have a dog ID. Okay. Right. So in the human world, we have a dog ID for uniqueness or identification. So that is correct. Also in C sharp, translating it to C sharp as well, it's signifies uniqueness. Okay. Uniqueness of that particular dog, right? Or that particular record, I would say. It's more on record. Okay, so let's have dog breed as well. So we have a cat breed and we have a dog breed, and both of them will inherit from animal, right? So now we have animal. Okay, right. So now that we have created successfully two types, dog and cat, and a separate project, now we have to make it available to be called to the animal app. So as you can see, this is just a library. You're building your own library. You're building your own model class or structure. So this is where you're building your structure. Okay. So now what we need to do is print type dog and print type cat, right? So first we need to make it available first in the console application. So on the dependencies, let's do a right click. As you can see, it's already available for you to add the project reference, right? So it automatically appears in the window, and all you need to do is to add it, okay, and press OK. Right now it's added. You will now be able to reference it in the console application. So now let's type an instance of dog, right? Dog, okay, equals to new dog, right? So let's see what's happening. Why it's turning red? So right, so show potential fixes. By hovering my mouse, the red squiggly could not be found, right? So we had referenced it, but did you add it to the using statements? So remember, the using statements is the referencing library in your class. So if it's not available there, then it will not work, right? Okay, so it will be same as cat. So now let's have the dog dot animal ID. Okay, so it's type int. So let's say animal IDs is 1 2 3, right? Okay, right, and we have a dog dot name, animal name. Let's say since it's type string, so we need to make it a string. Okay, then it will be, let's say, Toby, right? Right, so now we have the dog created for us. Now we're gonna create the cat. Okay, so cat, variable type cat, and the variable name is cat, is equals to new cat, right? Okay, so now let's have the cat name, right? Cat animal name is equals to, right, the snow. Okay, and let's say cat that animal ID is equals to 456. Okay, so now we have two types, dog or cat, right? So now let's print it. Okay, so let's say cat name. Okay, right, so cat name is, so we're gonna concatenate. Okay, so just a refresher, concatenation is we're putting two strings together, okay, of type string. So we have cat that animal name, right? So we have that, and we have the console.writeLine, and let's say cat dog name, right? And let's concatenate, so dog dot name, right? Okay, so now let's save this and let's sprint and let's see what will happen. Okay, so as you can see, we managed to print cat name and dog name. So let's see if we have satisfied the questions, right? So we managed to build a new application, managed to create animal applications of type dog and cat, created a new project in a single solution. Fifth, called the project inside console application project, and print type dog and cat. Alright, so this is the end of this lesson. So let's continue to the next. I'll see you again to the next video. Thank you.